Hello everyone, welcome to another update from the Avalanche ecosystem. It's been a crazy week and I felt a little bit fancy as a result of it, so I found an excuse to wear a suit for the first time in like 1.5 years. As we all know, the Avalanche Foundation announced Avalanche Rush, and while Avalanche Rush already kind of slowly gaining some more traction, this is really what pushed it over the edge. It's been crazy. Just to summarize, Avalanche Rush is a 180 million DeFi incentive program. As far as you know, 30 million of that has already been allocated, 3 million is going to BENQI, 20 million is going to AVAX, and 7 million is going to Curve. And just BENQI being live with 3 million, the lowest number of those three, it's already been exploding. But this channel is not really about price talk, so instead let's talk about all the cool stuff that's been happening. So first of all, BENQI, it just launched a couple days ago, but it's already got almost 1 billion worth of assets locked, which is absolutely crazy. If you've not yet seen my interview with Alex Sul, highly recommend it. We really go in depth on BENQI, but also the other applications that Rome Blockchain Labs is developing. But for now, because we've not seen it yet, BENQI is now available for supplying and borrowing funds. And the really cool thing is you can actually borrow funds at a profit at the moment, which is resulting in some crazy strategies. More on that in a moment, just real quick. You can deposit a couple of different tokens and then you can use it as collateral to borrow. Now, like I said, because you can borrow at a profit, because there's also liquidity incentives for borrowing, there have been some crazy strategies. And one that I'm personally in is the DAI strategy from Snowball. This is pretty much a no-risk pool you can be into. You just deposit DAI into it, then you use it as collateral to borrow more DAI, which you then deposit again and borrow more DAI, and because you just get rewards for both, the rewards are great. I imagine that at some point the cost of borrowing will outweigh the actual rewards you get for borrowing. But as long as that's not the case, it's kind of just free money that's up for grabs. So honestly, at the moment, BENQI is enabling some crazy strategies, but it's not the only good news from the Avalanche ecosystem this week. If you just look at the token list of Markr, you can see that a lot of tokens on the Avalanche ecosystem have had an absolutely crazy week. Huge gains across the board, and it seems to be slowing down a little bit, but it may just not be stopping yet. One other result of that is that the value of the Yield Yak airdrop that I received is a little bit different for everyone. But especially if you were in the early depositor and early community groups, the value of my airdrop is now about the same as a Tesla Model 3. I'm not great with cars, but I think that's the one. Now it's not possible to get any Yak tokens anymore. What you can still get is Cycle tokens. So Cycle works quite similar to Yield Yak in that it's an autocompounder where users press a reinvest button and get a little reward for it. However, when you deposit your LP on Cycle, you can also earn Cycle tokens. And those Cycle tokens you can then stake to earn some AVAX, which is quite similar to the Yak token. Of course, it doesn't make it the exact same as Yield Yak, but if you suffer from unit bias, Cycle may be for you. Now, one other app that reminds a little bit of Yield Yak, but in a very different way, is Q. Q, if you don't know, is also developed by Rome Blockchain Labs. Again, check out my video with Alex Sul, he explains a lot about what it is. But in short, it is the Liquidity Underwriter for BENQI. So if anyone defaults on a loan in BENQI, Q is going to buy the collateral and then sell it at a profit. So in order to do that, Q needs some liquidity which you can add to it. I think all the APIs are probably showing 0 because there have not been any liquidations yet. But once AVAX launches as well, you might see Q act on that as well, and Q can also do arbitrage. So I'm very curious where it goes. And in the way it's similar to Yield Yak is that it launches without a token, and it can function without a token, but it might still do one. So hypothetically, we could have another Yield Yak situation where an app is kind of running just fine and everything. And then they announce a token to kind of give away to the community that have adopted. So it might not be a bad idea to interact with the app a little bit. Not financial advice, of course. Then I just want to quickly talk about Velox as well. We've already talked about it extensively again with Alex. It's another Rome Blockchain Labs application, but this is the interface that you would use to put a limit order on the Pangolin exchange. I'm not going to click to all of these screens because honestly I'm completely out of liquidity. It's all farming at the moment. I have like 2 AVAX of gas left, which by now is about the same amount of money as 10 AVAX was a couple weeks ago. So because the gas fees are now kind of fixed, that's also mean that our gas prices are more expensive. However, soon, as you probably know, we're going to get a variable gas, which could cut your gas costs by 66%, which is pretty amazing. And it may well be just another catalyst for the Avalanche ecosystem. Then in terms of NFTs, one interesting project is Non-Fungible Pixels. You may have heard of this 1 million pixels thing where every pixel was sold for $1 and then together it kind of created a canvas that got a bit of a cult status. Well, this is essentially that for Avalanche. If you want to claim a spot, you can just buy and manage. Any of those dark cells are still available and you can even make like a 3x3. However, you'll see it in the bottom, it's quite expensive. In my opinion, it was already on the expensive side before. the AVAX price increase, and now it's especially expensive. I'm personally not a big fan of the increasing price, but still it is a really cool billboard, and there's some rental options as well. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. Then finally, after a long time of not hearing anything from them, we are hearing a couple noises from the Snowies Twitter account. Snowies is one of my favorite NFT projects on Avalanche. It's one of the first. There's only 400 minted and they all sold out while I was asleep. I managed to buy one off the market. And then we didn't hear anything for a while, but then they recently just tweeted this link and I'm going to open it. It may be noisy and it's probably going to be laggy, but I just want to show you. So if you go to that website, you'll enter a room and I just have one penguin, but it shows here. And you can kind of walk around, interact a little bit. It's super noisy normally. I tried to turn down the volume, but I'm wondering how much you get from that. But I find it at least interesting to interact with. And nice to hear something from the Snowies team again. But that's already it for today's video. We've had an absolutely crazy week and I hope we're going to get many more. I also hope to see you in another video. But for now, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.